What if I told you that thousands of years ago, ancient civilizations possessed knowledge so precise, they could predict the movements of the stars and planets with stunning accuracy, without telescopes, without computers, without any of the technology we rely on today? These builders didn't just stack stones randomly, they engineered monuments so perfectly aligned with celestial events that their precision still leaves modern scientists in awe. Think about that for a moment. While we struggle to read our horoscopes, our ancestors were mapping the heavens into the very ground we walk on. This isn't just speculation, it's the heart of archaeoastronomy, the study of how ancient cultures understood and honored the cosmos. From the solstice sunrise piercing the heart of a hidden chamber to the shadow of a pyramid marking the exact moment of an equinox, these structures are more than just ruins, they are celestial clocks, frozen in time. And they prove something extraordinary: humanity's obsession with the stars isn't new. It's a thread connecting us to every civilization that's ever gazed up at the night sky and wondered, just like we do. Today we're embarking on a journey to 20 of these breathtaking sites, scattered across continents and epochs. Each one tells a story not just of kings and empires, but of human ingenuity, of a relentless drive to make sense of the universe. Some you've heard of, like Stonehenge, standing sentinel under the Milky Way. Others remain hidden in plain sight, their secrets only revealed when the light hits just right. So if you're ready to unlock the mysteries of the past, to stand where ancient astronomers once stood, and witness the heavens align as they intended, then let's begin. Because what you're about to discover might just change how you see history and our place in the cosmos forever. Standing silent on England's Salisbury Plain, Stonehenge has whispered its secrets to astronomers and archaeologists for centuries. This ring of towering stones isn't just a monument, it's a celestial map carved into the earth. Picture this: at dawn on the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, the sun rises directly over the heel stone, its golden light pouring through the monument's central axis like an ancient spotlight. But the precision doesn't end there. Turn in 6 months later during the winter solstice, and you'll witness the sunset align perfectly between the uprights of the tallest trilithons, framing the dying light like a doorway to another world. How did Neolithic builders over 4,000 years ago achieve such accuracy without modern tools? Some researchers believe the bluestones, the smaller, mysterious rocks hauled from Wales, were placed to track lunar cycles, while the massive sarsen stones act as a solar calendar, marking the year's turning points. Others argue Stonehenge was a sacred healing site, where the solstice alignments amplified spiritual energy, but one thing's certain: this wasn't built by accident. The builders didn't just drag these multi-ton slabs across the landscape, they engineered a celestial observatory, a stone puzzle where every piece locks into the rhythm of the cosmos. And here's the real marvel: Stonehenge isn't alone. Across Europe, similar monuments echo its design, suggesting a shared astronomical knowledge that spanned continents. From Ireland's Newgrange to Scotland's Callanish stones, our ancestors were stitching the sky into the earth, so the next time you hear someone call Stonehenge just a pile of old rocks, remember, it's a testament to human curiosity, a monument to our timeless hunger to understand the universe. And somehow, against all odds, it still works. Thousands of years later, the sun still obeys. But Stonehenge's secrets don't end with the sun. Look closer, and you'll find the moon's ghostly dance etched into its stones. Every 18.6 years, something extraordinary happens, a lunar event so rare, ancient cultures might have built entire monuments just to witness it. During what's called a major lunar standstill, the moon doesn't just rise and set like usual, it swings to its farthest possible points on the horizon, lingering at the edges of its celestial path like a traveler hesitating at the world's edge. And at Stonehenge, the station stone's 4 mysterious markers, often overlooked, frame this cosmic spectacle with eerie precision. When the moon reaches its extreme northern position, it appears to rise directly over one stone, and at its southern extreme, it hovers above another. Coincidence not likely. Recent research suggests these alignments weren't just ceremonial. The Aubrey holes, a ring of pits surrounding the monument, might have held wooden posts used to predict eclipses by tracking the moon's movements over decades. Imagine ancient astronomers moving markers between these holes, their fingers tracing patterns in the earth as they decoded the rhythm of shadows and light. Some scholars even argue the famous heel stone, known for its solstice alignment, could have served as a warning beacon for impending eclipses, a celestial alarm system carved in stone. What's truly astonishing is the patience this required. Tracking an 18.6-year cycle means generations of observers passing down knowledge, their eyes fixed on the same patch of sky. It's a reminder that these builders weren't just stacking rocks, they were weaving time itself into the landscape, and when the next major standstill arrives in 2025, modern astronomers and pilgrims will gather, just as their ancestors did, to watch the moon obey an ancient blueprint written in stone. So while the summer solstice steals the spotlight, remember, Stonehenge whispers its loudest secrets under moonlight. It's a monument that doesn't just mark days, it maps the slow, silent heartbeat of the cosmos. From the misty plains of Stonehenge, we journey now to the scorching sands of Egypt, where the Great Pyramid of Giza stands as a testament to celestial precision on an unimaginable scale. This isn't just a tomb, it's a masterpiece of engineering that locks the cosmos into its very geometry. Each of its four sides aligns almost perfectly with the cardinal directions north, south, east, and west, with an error margin of just a fraction of a degree. To put that into perspective, modern architects using advanced tools would struggle to achieve such accuracy, yet the builders of the pyramid managed it over 4,500 years ago. How some theories suggest they used the stars, tracking the circular motion of constellations around the celestial pole to pinpoint true north. Others believe they harnessed the autumnal equinox, when the sun casts shadows perfectly east to west. But regardless of their methods, one thing is clear: this alignment wasn't incidental, it was intentional, a deliberate tether between earth and sky. Now step inside the pyramid and the celestial connections deepen. The descending passage, angling down into the bedrock, points directly to the northern polar stars, the unchanging anchor of the ancient night sky. Meanwhile, the ascending passage leading upward to the king's chamber aligns with Orion's belt, a constellation the Egyptians linked to Osiris, the god of rebirth. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. Around 2500 BC, when the pyramid was built, the star Sirius associated with Isis, Osiris's consort, rose in perfect synchrony with Orion's belt. The pyramid's shafts and chambers might have been designed to mirror this celestial relationship, turning the entire structure into a stone replica of the heavens. But why go to such lengths? For the ancient Egyptians, the cosmos wasn't just a spectacle, it was a roadmap to the afterlife. The pharaoh's soul was believed to travel these star-lit pathways, joining the gods in eternal rebirth. The pyramid wasn't merely a building, it was a launchpad for immortality, and the precision of these alignments suggests an understanding of astronomy far beyond what we often credit to ancient civilizations. Modern researchers using 3D modeling have found that the pyramid's layout corresponds to specific stars' positions with unnerving accuracy, as if the builders encoded celestial knowledge into limestone and granite. Yet mysteries remain. Why do some shafts point to stars that weren't visible during the pyramid's construction? Were they aligned to a different era, or is there a deeper, lost meaning? And how did the builders maintain such exact angles across millions of stone blocks? These questions linger, but one truth endures: the Great Pyramid is more than a wonder of the ancient world. It's a bridge between realms, a monument that captures the eternal human quest to touch the stars, and like Stonehenge, it still speaks if we know how to listen. The stones whisper of a time when the sky wasn't distant and abstract, but intimately woven into the fabric of daily life, death, and divinity. The Orion Correlation Theory is where Egyptology collides with cosmic mystery, a bold claim that the pyramids aren't just aligned with stars, but are a terrestrial mirror of Orion's belt itself. In the 1990s, researcher Robert Bovell noticed something uncanny. The three pyramids of Giza, when viewed from above, match the pattern of Orion's three brightest stars, but not as they appear today. Instead, they align perfectly with how those stars would have looked in 10,500 BC, a date that predates the pyramids by millennia. Bovell's theory suggests the ancient Egyptians weren't just stargazers, they were time travelers of a sort, preserving a celestial snapshot from an era long before their own. Supporters point to the layout's precision. The smallest pyramid, Menkora, is offset slightly, just like the dimmest star in Orion's belt. The Nile River mirrors the Milky Way in this cosmic map, suggesting the entire Giza plateau was designed as a reflection of the heavens. Even the pyramid's so-called air shafts align with key stars, Sirius, Orion, and the pole star Thuban, which anchored the night sky in ancient times. For Bovell, this wasn't coincidental, it was a grand design, a way to tether the pharaoh's souls to the stars for eternity, but critics aren't convinced. They argue that Orion's belt has shifted over millennia due to Earth's axial precession, a slow wobble that changes our view of the stars over 26,000 years. While the pyramids do loosely match Orion's pattern, skeptics claim the alignment isn't precise enough to be intentional. The southern shaft of the Great Pyramid, for example, points to Orion's belt around 2400 BC, not 10,000 BC, muddying Bovell's timeline. And why would builders encode a sky from a time they never witnessed? Some archaeologists suggest the pyramid placements reflect practical constraints, terrain, materials, or even older, lost structures, rather than celestial blueprints. Yet the theory persists, fueled by gaps in our understanding. Why did the Egyptians call Orion, Sa, the soul of Osiris, if the constellation held no sacred meaning? Why do pyramid texts explicitly mention the deceased king joining Orion in the afterlife? Bovell's work, controversial as it is, forces us to reckon with the limits of our knowledge. Maybe the pyramids aren't just tombs or calendars, but something more profound, a bridge between epochs, built by a culture that saw time as a circle, not a line. Whether the Orion correlation holds up to scrutiny, it reveals a deeper truth. The ancient world's relationship with the stars was far richer, far stranger than we often assume. And in that mystery lies the real magic of Giza, not just what we know, but what we're still learning. Deep in the jungles of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, the Pyramid of El Castillo at Chichen Itza stands as a masterpiece of celestial theater. Twice a year during the spring and autumn equinoxes, something magical happens. As the sun sets, shadows slither down the pyramid's northern staircase like a serpent coming to life. The play of light and darkness creates 7 triangular patterns along the steps, merging at the base with a stone serpent's head to form the illusion of a giant feathered snake descending from the heavens. This isn't just a trick of the light, it's a meticulously engineered spectacle, a testament to the Mayas' profound understanding of astronomy, architecture, and their gods. The serpent is Kukulkan, the feathered deity who bridges earth and sky. In Maya mythology, Kukulkan wasn't just a symbol of power, he was the bringer of knowledge, the architect of civilization itself. By aligning the pyramid's 91 steps on each side, totaling 364, plus the platform to make 365, a full solar year, the Maya fused time and space into sacred geometry. The equinox serpent wasn't merely decorative, it was a celestial affirmation of Kukulkan's return, a moment when the divine touched the mortal world. But the precision goes deeper. The pyramid's 4 staircases face the cardinal directions, and its corners are angled to mark the sun's positions at the solstices. Even the soundscape is intentional: clap at the base, and the echo mimics the Quetzal bird, Kukulkan's sacred messenger. Some researchers believe the pyramid's interior chambers, like the hidden temple discovered beneath it, amplify acoustic resonance during these alignments, creating an immersive sensory experience for ancient worshippers. What's astonishing is how this knowledge persisted. Even after the Maya abandoned Chichen Itza, the pyramid continued to mark the equinoxes flawlessly, as if the stones themselves remembered their purpose. Today, thousands gather to witness this phenomenon, just as the Maya did centuries ago, proof that some connections to the cosmos transcend time, and perhaps that's the real secret of El Castillo. It wasn't built to awe future generations, but to remind us that the sky has always been part of the human story, whispering its truths to those who know how to look. Just a short walk from El Castillo lies one of the most enigmatic structures in Chichen Itza, El Caracol, a crumbling round tower nicknamed the Snail for its spiral interior staircase. Unlike the grandeur of the pyramid, this unassuming ruin hides a revelation. The Maya didn't just track the sun and moon, they mapped the dance of planets with astonishing precision. Step inside and you'll find narrow windows strategically placed to frame Venus at its most extreme positions in the sky. This wasn't a temple or a palace, it was an observatory, a stone calculator designed to decode the cosmos. Venus held profound significance for the Maya. They called it Noek, the great star, and its movements dictated wars, coronations, even agricultural cycles. Unlike the predictable sun, Venus's appearances as the morning and evening star follow a complex 584-day cycle, shifting positions like a celestial wanderer. Yet the Maya not only tracked this pattern, they built El Caracol's windows to pinpoint Venus at critical moments. One alignment marks its northernmost position, another its southern extreme, as if the structure itself were a stone armillary sphere. Archaeoastronomers have discovered that these sightlines match the planet's positions during the height of Maya civilization, between the 9th and 12th centuries. But the genius doesn't stop there. The tower's design accounts for the thick jungle canopy, its elevated platform, and angled windows allowed priests to observe Venus even when it hung low on the horizon. Some researchers argue the building's odd orientation, slightly askew from Chichen Itza's main grid, was deliberate, aligning with key planetary risings rather than cardinal directions. Even the spiral staircase might have served as a metaphor for Venus's cyclical journey, a physical representation of time's coiled rhythm. What's truly humbling is the scale of their ambition. Without telescopes, the Maya calculated Venus's synodic period, the time it takes to return to the same position relative to Earth, with an error margin of just 2 hours per 500 years. Their Dresden Codex, a surviving astronomical manuscript, contains pages of precise Venus tables, proof that El Caracol wasn't an isolated experiment, but part of a vast scientific tradition. So why such obsession with a single planet? For the Maya, Venus wasn't just a point of light, it was the war god Kukulkan's celestial manifestation. Its ominous appearances were seen as omens, dictating the timing of raids and rituals. El Caracol's alignments may have served as an early warning system, allowing priests to predict Venus's transitions and harness its perceived power. Yet for all we've decoded, mysteries linger. Why are some windows aligned to stars like Pleiades, far beyond Venus's path? Was the tower also used to track eclipses or Mercury's elusive movements? Each unanswered question whispers of a complexity we're still unraveling. El Caracol stands as a testament to a civilization that didn't just watch the sky, they conversed with it, turning stone and starlight into a language of gods and time. And in its crumbling walls we glimpse a truth: advanced astronomy didn't begin with telescopes. It began with curiosity, patience, and the unwavering belief that the heavens held stories worth telling. Buried beneath the rolling green hills of Ireland's Boyne Valley, Newgrange isn't just a tomb, it's a 5,000-year-old miracle of celestial engineering. Picture this: on the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, A single beam of sunlight pierces the darkness, sliding through a narrow roof box above the entrance. For 17 mesmerizing minutes, this golden light creeps along the 19-meter passageway, finally flooding the inner chamber in a radiant glow. It's a spectacle so precise, so deliberate, that it couldn't possibly be an accident. The Neolithic builders didn't just stack stones, they designed a solar cathedral, a place where the sun itself performed an annual resurrection. The precision is staggering. The roof box, a slit barely 30 centimeters tall, aligns perfectly with the solstice sunrise, accounting for the horizon's natural slope. Modern recreations show that even a slight miscalculation, by as little as a degree, would throw the entire phenomenon out of alignment, yet somehow these ancient architects accounted for the Earth's axial tilt, the sun's shifting path, and even the chamber's acoustics, which amplify whispers into eerie echoes. Some researchers believe the tomb's cruciform shape mirrors constellations like Cygnus, seen as a celestial gateway to the afterlife. Others suggest the spiral carvings adorning the stones represent the sun's cyclical journey, a symbolic map of death and rebirth. But why go to such lengths? For the Neolithic people of Ireland, the winter solstice wasn't just a date, it was a battle between light and darkness, a moment when the sun seemed to die and was reborn. Newgrange's illuminated chamber might have served as a ritual space where priest astronomers reenacted this cosmic drama, perhaps even believing the sun's light could resurrect the ancestors buried within. Bones found in the chamber show signs of ceremonial handling, hinting at elaborate rites where the living communed with the dead under the solstice sun. What's truly humbling is how this knowledge endured. Newgrange predates Stonehenge by centuries, the pyramids of Giza by a millennium, yet its solstice alignment still works today, a testament to a forgotten civilization's ingenuity. Every December, crowds gather to witness this ancient light show, just as they did 5,000 years ago, and in that shared moment across millennia, we're reminded, the sky has always been more than stars and shadows. To our ancestors, it was a clock, a compass, a bridge between worlds, and Newgrange stands as one of humanity's earliest attempts to build a doorway to the divine. But here's the haunting question: how many other tombs, temples, or standing stones hold similar secrets, their alignments lost to time or buried beneath modern landscapes? Newgrange's survival is a rare gift, a flicker of ancient light in a world that's forgotten how to read it, and perhaps that's its greatest lesson, not just about the past but about our own place in the universe. The same sky they watch still arches above us, unchanged. The same sun still obeys their stone-made calendar. We've built telescopes and satellites, yet these ancient architects whisper across millennia, the cosmos isn't just above us. It's written into the very land we walk on. High in the mist-shrouded Andes, Machu Picchu's Intihuatana stone isn't just another relic, it's a frozen moment of celestial dialogue. Carved from the mountain's living rock, this peculiar granite pillar translates the sun's journey into shadows so precise, it's as if the Inca architects bottled sunlight itself. On the equinoxes, when day and night hang in perfect balance, the stone casts no shadow at all, a phenomenon so striking modern visitors still gasp when they witness it. But the real magic happens at the solstices. During the June-winter solstice in the southern hemisphere, the sun's lowest point in the sky causes the Intihuatana's shadow to stretch long and thin, pointing directly to sacred Mount Yanantin. 6 months later, at the December summer solstice, the shadow shortens dramatically, as if the stone itself is pulling the sun back toward the earth. This wasn't just art or astrology, it was hard science. Researchers using 3D modeling have confirmed the stone's angles match the sun's solstice positions with jaw-dropping accuracy. The name Intihuatana translates to hitching post of the sun, reflecting the Inca belief that the stone literally tethered the sun to the earth, preventing it from abandoning humanity during the darkest days of winter. But the alignments don't stop there. the entire city is a celestial map in stone. The Temple of the Sun's semicircular tower aligns with the June solstice sunrise, while the nearby sacred rock mirrors the silhouette of the distant mountain range behind it, creating a terrestrial echo of the horizon. Even Machu Picchu's urban grid follows astronomical logic. Main avenues point to key solar and lunar rising positions, turning the city into a sprawling observatory. What's astonishing is how these alignments served practical and spiritual purposes alike. The Intihuatana likely functioned as an agricultural calendar, signaling optimal planting and harvest times to farmers across the Urubamba Valley. At the same time, priests may have used its shadow play in rituals, believing the stone channeled the sun god Inti's energy. Spanish chroniclers noted that Inca rulers performed ceremonies here, recharging the stone with solar power during solstice events. And the precision suggests generations of observation knowledge passed down without written language, encoded solely in architecture, yet mysteries linger. Why does the Intihuatana align not just with solstices, but with certain bright stars like Vega? Some scholars argue the stone served as a multi-purpose astronomical tool, tracking celestial cycles beyond the solar year. Others point to nearby Huaca's sacred stones whose placement seemed to mark Venus's appearances. Even the city's famous lost aura might be celestial. When morning fog floods the valleys below, Machu Picchu appears to float above the clouds, a man-made echo of the Incas' celestial realm, Hanan Pacha. Today the Intihuatana bears scars of conquest. The Spanish destroyed similar stones across the empire, believing them idols, but this one survived, hidden by Machu Picchu's remote perch. And every solstice, it still performs its ancient duty, not just as a relic, but as a testament to a civilization that didn't just watch the sky, but wove it into the fabric of daily life. The Incas didn't build Machu Picchu to impress future archaeologists, they built it to converse with the cosmos, and if you stand by the stone at dawn on the right day, you'll hear that conversation whisper through the Andes, a language of light, stone, and celestial time. Tucked beside the Intihuatana, the Temple of the Sun at Machu Picchu reveals another layer of celestial genius. Its trapezoidal window, a stone frame perfectly angled to capture the June solstice sunrise. As dawn breaks on the shortest day of the southern hemisphere's winter, the sun's first rays slice through this narrow opening, striking a ceremonial stone inside with surgical precision. This isn't just a pretty alignment, it's a theological lightning bolt. For the Inca, this moment marked the sun god Inti's annual rebirth, his promise to return warmth and life to the earth. The window's exact placement wasn't arbitrary. It accounted for Machu Picchu's high-altitude horizon, where the sun rises at a shallower angle than in lower valleys. Modern laser scans show the masonry is off by less than half a degree, a margin of error that would challenge today's architects with GPS, but the temple's design goes deeper than solar theatrics. Its semicircular wall mirrors the curvature of the sun's path during the solstice, while the interior niche aligns with the Pleiades, a star cluster the Inca called Quilca, or storehouse, linking agriculture to celestial cycles. Beneath the temple lies a natural rock formation the Incas sculpted into a sacred altar, its grooves channeling ritual liquids in patterns that may have mapped the Milky Way, or Mayu, their celestial river. Even the temple's acoustics play a role. Whispers near the window amplify into echoes, as if the stones themselves are in conversation with the cosmos. This sacred geometry reflects the Incas' worldview, where astronomy wasn't separate from spirituality or daily life. Inti wasn't a distant deity. His journey across the sky dictated planting seasons, royal coronations, even tax collections. The temple's alignment served as a divine contract, a reminder that the emperor, the Sapa Inca, was Inti's earthly representative, his authority literally illuminated by the sun's approval. During solstice ceremonies, priests likely used the sunbeam's path to recharge golden artifacts placed on the altar, infusing them with solar energy. Spanish chronicles describe similar rituals in Cusco, where mummies of past rulers were brought into sunlight during Inti Raymi, the festival of the sun. Yet what's most striking is the temple's duality. While its window celebrates the sun's power, the underground chamber beneath it, known as the royal tomb, symbolizes the counterbalance of darkness, the realm of the Earth Mother, Pachamama. Together they embody the Inca principle of Yanantin, complementary opposites like sun and moon, male and female, woven into harmony. The solstice sunrise didn't just mark a date, it was a cosmic reset, a recalibration of this delicate equilibrium. Today, as crowds gather each June to witness this ancient alignment, the temple's stones whisper a challenge. We think of time as linear, but the Inca saw it as a spiral, where the past and present converge in sacred moments. The sunlight through that window hasn't changed in 5 centuries. It still obeys the architect's calculations, still ignites the same stones, and in that unbroken thread of light, we glimpse a civilization that didn't just build monuments, they built conversations with eternity. In the dense jungles of Cambodia, Angkor Wat stands not just as a temple, but as a stone echo of the cosmos itself. This sprawling monument, built in the 12th century, does something extraordinary every March during the spring equinox. The sun rises directly over its central tower, casting a golden path down the temple's main causeway. It's no accident. The entire complex is aligned with near-perfect precision to capture this moment, when day and night hang in perfect balance. But to understand why, you have to step into the worldview of the Khmer Empire. Angkor Wat wasn't merely a place of worship, it was a physical representation of Hindu cosmology. The temple's 5 towers mirror the peaks of Mount Meru, the mythical axis of the universe where gods and demons churned the cosmic ocean to create immortality. The surrounding moat that symbolizes the primordial sea, encircling the sacred mountain, and the equinox alignment, it's the moment when the earthly and divine realms align, when the sun god Surya's chariot seems to roll straight down the temple's causeway, bridging heaven and earth. What's astonishing is the scale of this intentional design. The temple's westward orientation, unusual for Hindu temples, which typically face east, allowed the equinox sunrise to slice through the entire complex, illuminating the inner sanctum where the god-king was enshrined. Modern measurements show the alignment is off by less than half a degree, a feat that would challenge contemporary engineers, let alone builders working 900 years ago without modern tools. Some scholars believe the Khmers used the North Star or constellations like Draco to anchor their measurements, while others suggest they tracked the sun's shadow patterns over decades to calibrate the temple's axis. But the celestial connections don't end there. Angkor Wat's bas-reliefs are a stone encyclopedia of astronomical knowledge. One gallery depicts the churning of the Milky Ocean, a Hindu creation myth that some researchers think encodes celestial events, like the precession of the equinoxes, into its imagery. Another shows the god Vishnu reclining on the serpent Ananta, a scene that might mirror the Milky Way's arc across the night sky. Even the temple's dimensions hold cosmic secrets. Its outer wall's perimeter matches the number of years in the Hindu cosmological cycle, while the steps leading to the central tower number in sync with lunar months. And here's the real marvel: Angkor Wat's alignments still work today. Every equinox, pilgrims and tourists gather before dawn, watching as the sun obediently follows its ancient script. It's a testament to a civilization that didn't just observe the heavens, they etched them into stone, turning architecture into a dialogue with eternity. The temple doesn't just point to the stars, it invites us to remember that the sky was never just a backdrop. To the Khmer, it was the very fabric of myth, power, and time itself, a truth carved so deeply into Angkor's stones that even centuries of jungle growth couldn't erase it. Beneath Angkor Wat's stunning equinox alignments lies a deeper, more controversial layer, one that hints at a celestial secret stretching far beyond the sunrise. Some researchers propose that the temple's entire layout might encode the precession of the equinoxes, the slow wobble of Earth's axis that completes a 25,772-year cycle. This isn't just about marking seasons, it's about mapping time on a scale that dwarfs human lifetimes. The theory centers on the temple's galleries and causeways, which appear to mirror the gradual shift of the constellations over millennia. For example, the famous churning of the ocean of milk relief might not just depict a myth, it could symbolize the Milky Way's changing position relative to the solstice sun over epochs, with gods and demons pulling the cosmic serpent like a celestial rope. What lends this idea weight? The temple's dimensions. The outer gallery's length matches the number of years in the Hindu cosmological cycle, while the intricate bas-reliefs seem to chart the movement of celestial bodies across vast stretches of time. One striking detail, the temple's western orientation, unusual for Hindu shrines, may align with the position of the equinox sun during the era of its construction, a deliberate nod to precession. Computer simulations show that when Angkor Wat was built, the spring equinox sun rose in a different constellation than it does today, shifting due to Earth's wobble. The temple's architects might have embedded this slow dance of the stars into stone, creating a monument that doesn't just mark time, but contains it. Critics argue that attributing precession knowledge to the Khmer is speculative. After all, the cycle's duration exceeds recorded history, but consider this: ancient Indian texts like the Mahabharata describe epochs spanning thousands of years, and Hindu cosmology already divided time into yugas, or ages, mirroring precession's scale. The Khmer, deeply influenced by Indian astronomy, could have inherited this long-term perspective. Even the temple's Naga balustrades, serpentine railings flanking the causeways, might represent the ecliptic, the sun's path through the zodiac, with their undulations marking the precessional drift of constellations. The implications are staggering. If Angkor Wat was designed as a precessional clock, it means its builders saw themselves as part of a cosmic rhythm far beyond individual reigns or dynasties. They weren't just building for their generation, but for cycles of civilization, encoding warnings or prophecies in alignments meant to be decoded millennia later. Modern astronomers using laser scans have found subtle asymmetries in the temple's layout that align with specific celestial events across precession's timeline, suggesting intentional design rather than coincidence. Yet the temple guards its secrets closely. Why do certain carvings depict constellations in positions they wouldn't occupy for thousands of years? Was the temple's eventual abandonment tied to astronomical prophecies, like the end of a precessional age? These questions blur the line between archaeology and cosmology, reminding us that Angkor Wat isn't just a relic, it's a celestial manuscript, its pages written in sunlight and stone. And as Earth's axis continues its lazy wobble, the temple's true message might still be unfolding, one equinox sunrise at a time. North of modern Mexico City, the ruins of Teotihuacan whisper a celestial secret. Its massive street of the dead doesn't just point toward the Pyramid of the Moon, but to a far grander destination in the night sky. When the Pleiades star cluster, known to the Aztecs as Chanquistli or the Marketplace, reaches its lowest point in the western sky during early May, it sets in perfect alignment with this ancient avenue. This isn't a coincidence. The Pleiades held profound significance across Mesoamerican cultures, marking the start of the agricultural cycle and symbolizing the place where souls gathered before rebirth. Teotihuacan's builders didn't just orient their city to earthly landmarks, they anchored it to the cosmos itself. The precision is breathtaking. The Street of the Dead deviates 15.5 degrees east of true north, an angle that matches the Pleiades' setting point around the time the city flourished, between the 1st and 7th centuries. Modern archaeoastronomers using 3D simulations have confirmed that from the vantage point of the Temple of the Sun, the cluster's descent would have appeared to slide directly down the avenue's axis, as if the stars were being swallowed by the Earth. This alignment wasn't just symbolic, it was functional. The Pleiades' appearance and disappearance timed crucial events, planting rains, ritual calendars, even the renewal of sacred fires. Some scholars suggest the street's slight curve, often dismissed as an architectural flaw, actually enhances this celestial theater, creating a telescopic effect that magnifies the star cluster's movement. But Teotihuacan's celestial blueprint runs deeper than a single alignment. The entire city grid may mirror the cosmos in miniature. The three great pyramids, the sun, the moon, and the feathered serpent, could represent key stars in Orion's belt, echoing the three hearthstones of Maya cosmology, which symbolize the cosmic hearth of creation. The surrounding complexes might then map other constellations, turning the urban plan into a stone replica of the heavens. Even the city's water channels and reservoirs have been proposed as earthly counterparts to the Milky Way, reflecting the Mesoamerican belief that the sky was a mirror of the underworld. This celestial design wasn't just about observation, it was about mythic reenactment. According to Aztec lore, who revered Teotihuacan centuries after its fall, the gods gathered here to recreate the birth of the fifth sun, the current era of the world. They lit a sacred fire at Teotihuacan, and the pyramids became the stage for this cosmic drama. The Pleiades' alignment with the Street of the Dead might commemorate this moment, freezing the story of creation in stone and starlight. When priests processed down the avenue during ceremonies, they weren't just walking a road, they were retracing the path of celestial gods. What's haunting is how these alignments transcend time. Today, visitors watching the Pleiades set over Teotihuacan witness the same sky show the builders saw 15 centuries ago. The stars haven't changed. The street hasn't moved. In that unbroken continuity lies Teotihuacan's real magic, not as a relic, but as a conversation. The city doesn't just point to the past, it invites us to look up and remember that the sky was never passive background. To these ancient architects, it was a living map, a clock, a storybook, and in aligning their world with the heavens, they left a message. Civilizations rise and fall, but the stars remain. Their secrets are still there, written not in parchment, but in stone and shadow, waiting for those who know how to read them. Rising 216 feet above Teotihuacan's ancient streets, the Pyramid of the Sun holds a solar secret most visitors miss. Its western facade becomes shadowless at high noon on two specific days each year. This phenomenon, known as the zenith passage, occurs when the sun reaches its highest possible point in the sky, directly overhead. On these days, typically May 17th and July 25th in the modern calendar, the pyramid's massive stone blocks seem to dissolve into pure light, as if the entire structure momentarily unshackles itself from the earth. For the city's builders, this wasn't just an optical illusion, it was a divine handshake between heaven and earth, a moment when the pyramid became one with the sun god himself. The precision behind this alignment reveals astonishing astronomical sophistication. The pyramid's base is angled at 16.5 degrees west of north, mirroring the Street of the Dead's orientation, but its western staircase points to the sun's zenith position with surgical accuracy. Modern measurements show the error margin is less than half a degree, a feat requiring generations of solar observation. Unlike equinoxes, which were widely celebrated across ancient cultures, zenith passages are unique to latitudes near the tropics, making Teotihuacan's focus on this phenomenon exceptionally rare. The Maya, 800 miles to the southeast, also tracked zenith days, suggesting a shared Mesoamerican reverence for these moments when the sun stood still in the sky. But why would a civilization invest so much labor, over 3 million tons of stone, to commemorate these two obscure noontimes? The answer lies in the pyramid's dual identity as both a celestial clock and a throne of divine power. Scholars propose the Pyramid of the Sun wasn't just aligned with the zenith sun, it channeled its energy. The pyramid's core conceals a cave system, believed to represent the underworld, while its summit once held a temple where rulers may have performed solstice rituals. When the zenith sun banished all shadows, it symbolically bridged these realms, turning the pyramid into a cosmic axis where gods and mortals could commune. Spanish chronicles describe Aztec emperors who revered Teotihuacan centuries after its collapse, ascending similar pyramids during zenith passages to recharge their authority with solar energy. The architectural details deepen the mystery. The pyramid's 4 tiers total 260 steps, a number matching the Tzolk'in, the sacred Maya calendar's 260-day cycle. Its original stucco coating, painted blood red, would have made the noontime blaze even more dramatic, visually fusing stone and sunlight. Some archaeologists speculate the pyramid's volume corresponds to cosmological measurements, its base perimeter matching the number of days in a solar year multiplied by a sacred number, though debates continue. Perhaps most intriguing are the pyramid's hidden layers. Ground-penetrating radar recently revealed a tunnel beneath the structure leading to a chamber filled with mercury and pyrite. These reflective minerals might have been used to amplify sunlight during zenith events, creating dazzling light effects that awed spectators below. Imagine the scene: priests emerging at noon, their gold ornaments and mirror-lined cloaks catching the overhead sun, turning the pyramid into a man-made star visible for miles. Teotihuacan's zenith alignment challenges our assumptions about ancient science. These builders didn't just track celestial movements, they engineered architecture that physically interacted with them. The Pyramid of the Sun wasn't merely a monument, it was a machine for harnessing time and power, a stone dial whose shadowless face marked the moments when heaven touched earth. And though the rituals are lost, the alignment endures every May and July. The sun still keeps its ancient appointment, a reminder that some contracts between humanity and the cosmos are written not on paper, but in light and stone. The Temple of Karnak doesn't just honor the gods, it choreographs their celestial dance in stone. Every winter solstice, as the sun climbs over the Nile's eastern bank, a beam of golden light pierces the temple's towering gateway, races down the hypostyle hall's forest of columns, and floods the sacred sanctuary of Amun-Ra. This isn't theater, it's theology in motion. For the ancient Egyptians, that fleeting moment when sunlight caressed the god's hidden statue wasn't just symbolic, it was the universe reaffirming divine order, a celestial handshake between heaven and pharaonic power. The precision behind this alignment reveals the depth of Egyptian astronomical mastery. Karnak's main axis points 18 degrees south of east, a deliberate angle accounting for the solstice sun's low arc in December. Modern laser scans show the temple's corridor narrows incrementally, creating a telescopic effect that focuses the sunlight into a razor-sharp beam as it reaches the sanctuary. The effect would have been staggering. After hours of pre-dawn rituals, priests watching in the gloom would suddenly see Amun-Ra's gilded statue ignite like a second sunrise, as if the god himself had awakened. This wasn't passive observation, it was architectural alchemy, turning sunlight into sacred spectacle. But the solstice alignment wasn't just about awe, it was the linchpin of pharaonic legitimacy. Egyptian kings ruled as the son of Ra, their authority literally illuminated by the sun god's favor. When the solstice light touched Amun-Ra's shrine, it symbolically renewed the covenant between god and ruler, blessing the kingdom for another year. Records describe how pharaohs like Hatshepsut timed their coronations to coincide with this event, their crowns glinting in the solstice beam to cement their divine mandate. Even the temple's construction played into this drama. Each dynasty added new courts or pylons along the solar axis, stretching the path of light like a celestial measuring tape. The theological implications run deeper still. Karnak's solstice alignment mirrors the myth of the sun god's rebirth, when Ra emerges victorious from his nightly battle with the serpent Apophis. The temple's darkened halls represented the underworld Juat, while the sanctuary symbolized the moment of dawn. The sanctuary wasn't just a room, it was a stage for cosmic resurrection. Priests may have placed ceremonial solar barks in the light's path, turning the beam into a vessel carrying Ra's spirit across the heavens. what's often overlooked is how Karnak's celestial design evolved. Early shrines faced true east, aligning with equinox sunrises, but as theology shifted to emphasize Amun-Ra's solar aspects, the axis tilted south to capture the solstice. This wasn't arbitrary, it reflected political shifts, with priests using astronomy to bolster Thebes' religious dominance. Even the famous obelisks functioned as giant sundials, their shadows marking sacred hours during solstice ceremonies. Today the phenomenon still occurs, though millennia of silt and urban sprawl have altered the horizon. Archaeologists using 3D modeling have recreated the original effect, proving the alignment's intentionality beyond doubt. And in that unbroken thread of light stretching from ancient stargazers to modern scientists, we glimpse a civilization that didn't just worship the sun. They engineered its miracles, turning architecture into a dialogue with eternity. Karnak stones whisper that the divine wasn't distant, it was as predictable as the solstice, as tangible as sunlight on gold, and as enduring as the sky itself. Just beyond Karnak's towering pylons, the sacred lake shimmers under the Egyptian sun, a vast rectangular pool that held far more than ritual waters. This wasn't just a place for priests to cleanse themselves, it was a liquid mirror to the heavens, its edges aligned with celestial events that dictated the rhythm of an entire civilization. On mornings in mid-July, when the star Sirius, known as Soptit to the ancient Egyptians, first reappeared above the horizon after 70 days of invisibility, its glint would reflect in the lake's still surface at dawn. This phenomenon, called the heliacal rising, wasn't just a pretty sight, it heralded the Nile's annual flood, the lifeblood of Egypt's agriculture, and the lake's orientation captured this moment with breathtaking precision. The connection between Sirius and the Nile's flooding was more than superstition, it was hard-won astronomical insight. The Egyptians observed that the heliacal rising of Sirius consistently preceded the floodwaters by a few weeks, creating a celestial alarm system. The sacred lake's eastern edge aligns with the spot where Sirius would first peak above the horizon, while its rectangular shape mirrors the Nile's floodplain. Priests standing on the lake's western bank at dawn would witness the star's reflection perfectly framed by the water's geometry, a signal to prepare for the coming deluge. Modern simulations confirm this alignment when the lake was in active use. The angle between its shoreline and the rising Sirius was exact enough to serve as a reliable calendar marker. But the lake's celestial role didn't stop there. Its waters were believed to be a conduit for divine energy, charged by the stars it reflected. During the festival of Apit, when statues of Amun-Ra, Mut, and Khonsu were carried from Karnak to Luxor Temple, priests would pause at the lake to ritually cool the deity's barges in its star-infused waters. The ceremony synchronized with Sirius's rising, merging cosmic and earthly cycles into a single act of worship. Even the lake's depth, carefully maintained at 7 cubits, may have symbolized the ideal flood level needed for fertile silt deposits. What's truly remarkable is how the lake's design accounts for celestial drift over time. Earth's axial precession slowly shifts the position of stars relative to the horizon, yet the lake's alignment remained accurate for centuries. Archaeoastronomers suggest this was intentional. The builders may have designed the lake's sight lines to compensate for precession, ensuring its Sirius alignment endured through generations. This level of foresight implies a sophisticated understanding of long-term astronomical patterns, encoded not in papyrus but in stone and water. Today, the sacred lake lies still, its starlit rituals long silenced. But on a clear July morning, if you stand where the high priests once stood, you'll see Sirius rise just as it did 3,000 years ago, a fleeting echo of a time when humanity didn't just watch the sky, but built entire landscapes to converse with it. The lake's silent waters hold a lesson. For the ancients, astronomy wasn't abstract science, it was the language of survival, written in reflections and flood tides, a reminder that the cosmos doesn't just guide, it nourishes. On the windswept cliffs of Malta's southern coast, the Mnajdra temples stand as a stone puzzle locked in conversation with the sun. Built over 5,000 years ago, these ancient structures aren't just ruins, they're celestial timekeepers, their doorways and chambers precisely aligned to capture the first light of the equinoxes and solstices. Picture this at dawn on the spring equinox, when day and night hang in perfect balance. A sliver of sunlight slices through the temple's main entrance, striking a carved stone slab deep inside. 6 months later, during the autumn equinox, the same phenomenon repeats like clockwork, but the real marvel comes at the solstices. The summer sun's rays pour through a different doorway, illuminating a niche that lies dark all year, while the winter solstice light creeps along the temple's corridor, marking the year's shortest day with geometric precision. The engineering behind these alignments reveals a sophistication that defies the era's supposed simplicity. The temple's builders accounted not just for the sun's shifting path, but for Malta's rugged topography. The structures are angled to compensate for the cliff's elevation, ensuring the sunlight hits its targets despite the uneven horizon. Modern laser surveys show the alignments are accurate to within a degree, a feat requiring generations of solar observation. Some researchers believe the temples functioned as agricultural calendars, their light markers signaling optimal times for planting and harvest. Others argue they were ritual spaces where sunlight's arrival triggered ceremonies, perhaps symbolizing the rebirth of a deity or the renewal of communal bonds. The temple's acoustics add another layer. Chants or drum beats inside the chambers would have resonated powerfully during these solar events, merging light and sound into a multisensory sacred experience. What's striking is how these alignments reflect a global pattern. Like Newgrange's solstice box or Karnak's solar axis, Mnajdra's designers shared a universal impulse to anchor human time to celestial cycles. But Malta's temples may hold a unique clue: the intricate pitted spirals and dot patterns carved into their walls. Some scholars propose these weren't mere decoration, but star maps or solar diagrams, encoding astronomical knowledge in stone. One particular slab, when struck by equinox light, reveals hidden carvings that lie invisible in shadow, a literal illumination of sacred knowledge, yet mysteries linger. Why do some alignments seem slightly offset, as if accounting for a different celestial event lost to time? Could the temple's three-tiered layout represent a cosmic hierarchy: underworld, earth, and heavens activated by the sun's annual journey? The answers may lie buried in Malta's rocky soil, but one truth shines through: Mnajdra's builders didn't just observe the sky, they wove it into their architecture, turning stone into a dialogue with the cosmos. And 5 millennia later, the sun still keeps its ancient appointments, painting light across the same stones, a reminder that some connections transcend time. Standing in Mnajdra's inner chamber during an equinox sunrise, you're not just witnessing an ancient alignment, you're stepping into a moment frozen in celestial amber. The same light that once told farmers when to sow, or priests when to chant, now touches the faces of modern visitors, linking us across epochs in a silent, solar conversation. The temples don't just mark time, they dissolve it, proving that humanity's oldest questions: when to plant, when to pray, when to hope, have always been written in the language of the sky. But Mnajdra's celestial dialogue didn't end with the sun. Under moonlight, the temple's stones reveal another layer of mystery: doorways and niches that frame the rising moon during its most significant phases. Unlike the solar alignments which mark the year's turning points, these lunar patterns suggest something more enigmatic: a connection to a prehistoric goddess cult that revered the moon's cyclical power. When the moon reaches its southernmost rising point during the major lunar standstill, an event occurring every 18.6 years, its pale light spills through a specific portal in the southern temple, illuminating a carved altar stone adorned with spirals and crescent motifs. This isn't random. The angles are too precise, the carvings too deliberate, Archaeologists have noted that these lunar alignments coincide with fertile cycles in the animal remains found nearby bones of pregnant goats and sheep, suggesting rituals timed to the moon's phases. The temple's so-called oracle holes, small apertures in the walls, might have allowed moonlight to strike ceremonial vessels placed inside, infusing them with lunar energy. Some scholars argue the entire southern temple was designed as a womb-like space, its curved walls echoing the crescent moon, where priestesses performed rites tied to fertility, death, and rebirth. The most striking evidence, a headless figurine discovered in a nearby shrine, her curvaceous form draped in a pleated skirt, her arms cradling her belly, an echo of later Mediterranean goddesses like Astarte or Demeter. Yet the lunar alignments raise tantalizing questions. Why do some doorways frame the moon's northern extremes, while others capture its mid-cycle phases? Could the temple's clusters Najdra, Hagar Kim, and Tarxian represent different stages of the lunar cycle, forming a ritual landscape where worshippers moved from darkness to fullness? The absence of written records forces us to read between the stones, but the patterns are undeniable. The same culture that aligned its temples to the solstice sun also worshipped the moon's silver path, seeing in its phases a divine feminine rhythm: growth, harvest, decay, renewal. Perhaps the most haunting clue lies in Malta's folklore. Long after the temples were abandoned, locals spoke of the Ilmara Tad doll, the Lady of Light, a luminous figure said to walk the cliffs under the full moon. Could this be a fragmented memory of Najdra's original purpose, a place where the moon wasn't just observed, but invoked? Today, as archaeologists use 3D modeling to reconstruct the temple's original sightlines, they're uncovering a sacred calculus that bound stone, star, and divinity into a single, shimmering tapestry. And when the next major standstill arrives, the moon will keep its ancient appointment, whispering secrets to those who still know how to listen. High in the desert of New Mexico, Chaco Canyon's Fajada Butte holds one of the most astonishing celestial calendars ever carved by human hands, the Sun Dagger. This isn't just a rock carving, it's a precision-engineered solar marker where sunlight and shadow dance across spiral petroglyphs to announce the solstices and equinoxes with razor-sharp accuracy. Picture this at noon on the summer solstice. A slender blade of light slices vertically through the center of a large spiral, splitting it in two like a cosmic knife. 6 months later, during the winter solstice, twin daggers of light bracket the same spiral, framing it in brilliance, and on the equinoxes, a single beam pierces the center of a smaller, adjacent spiral, as if the sun itself is threading a needle in stone. The genius of the sun dagger lies in its simplicity and precision. The ancestral Puebloans who created it around 900 years ago used the natural geology of Fajada, but 3 slabs of rock leaning against the cliff face as a celestial projector. As the sun moves across the sky, gaps between these slabs act like apertures, casting dynamic shadows and beams of light onto the carved spirals below. Modern researchers using computer simulations have found the alignments are accurate to within a fraction of a degree, a feat requiring generations of meticulous observation. But here's what's even more remarkable: the spirals aren't just targets. Their intricate coils may represent the sun's cyclical journey, or even the movement of the moon, which also interacts with the carvings during its major standstill every 18.6 years. For the ancestral Puebloans, these alignments weren't just scientific achievements, they were sacred moments woven into the fabric of daily life. Chaco Canyon was a cultural and spiritual hub, where celestial events dictated agricultural cycles, ceremonial calendars, and even architectural designs. The canyon's great houses, like Pueblo Bonito, align with cardinal directions and lunar extremes, suggesting a society deeply attuned to celestial rhythms. The sun dagger might have served as a checkpoint for these larger alignments, a way to calibrate timekeeping across the canyon's sprawling ceremonial landscape. Some researchers speculate the spiral's locations were chosen not just for solar accuracy, but for their dramatic visibility. Positioned high on the butt, the light show would have been visible to crowds gathering below, turning astronomy into communal theater. Yet the sun dagger also guards its mysteries. Why do some petroglyphs seem to track the 19-year metonic cycle, where solar and lunar calendars realign? Could the smaller spirals represent Venus or other planets, creating a multi-layered celestial map? The answers may lie in the canyon's other astronomical features, like the supernova pictograph, a rock painting that might depict the explosive star of 54 AD, or the lunar standstill markers found in nearby ruins. Tragically, the sun dagger's delicate balance was disrupted in the 1980s when erosion and human contact shifted the rock slabs, altering the alignments. But its legacy endures, a testament to a civilization that didn't just watch the sky, but etched its movements into stone. Today, as archaeologists use digital tools to recreate the original light shows, we're reminded that Chaco's astronomers weren't just marking time. They were weaving it into the land itself, turning sunlight into scripture and rock faces into pages of a celestial almanac, and in those silent spirals, we glimpse a truth: the cosmos wasn't distant to the ancestral Pueblones. It was a living presence, as close as the next solstice sunrise, as tangible as light on stone. Stretching like an arrow across the New Mexican desert, the Great North Road of Chaco Canyon defies practicality. This 30-mile pathway runs impossibly straight, deviating less than half a degree from true north. While modern engineers might see a marvel of ancient surveying, the ancestral Pueblones who built it 1,000 years ago likely envisioned something far grander: a terrestrial echo of the Milky Way, a sacred corridor linking their earthly world to the celestial realm. Unlike ordinary roads designed for travel, this one climbs cliffs and plunges into washes without detour, as if obeying a celestial rather than terrestrial logic. Its builders didn't just carve a path through the desert, they etched a cosmic axis into the land itself. The road's alignment holds clues to its deeper purpose. True north wasn't just a directional marker for the Pueblones, it anchored their cosmology, representing the axis mundi, the spiritual center connecting sky, earth, and underworld. When researchers mapped the road using GPS, they discovered its trajectory mirrors the meridian line, the imaginary arc running from north to south poles, suggesting an intentional link to the heavens. Some scholars propose the road physically recreated the Pueblones' mythic Road of the Dead, a celestial pathway souls were believed to travel after death. Others argue it aligned with Polaris, the North Star, which held profound significance as the one fixed point in the turning night sky. The road's terminus at Cuts Canyon, a steep gorge associated with ancestral emergence stories, reinforces this spiritual interpretation. It wasn't a destination, but a gateway. What's astonishing is the labor invested in such symbolic precision. The road's builders leveled terrain, cut through bedrock, and bordered sections with low stone walls, all to maintain an alignment invisible to the naked eye. Modern archaeoastronomers note that the road's slight westward curve near its end may compensate for centuries of axial precession, subtly adjusting for Polaris's gradual drift. This implies generations of astronomical observation passed down through oral tradition, a living science woven into ritual and memory. Yet the Great North Road's true power lies in its connection to Chaco's larger ceremonial landscape. From above, the road forms a near-perpendicular intersection with another major thoroughfare, the South Road, creating a colossal cross that mirrors the Pueblones' quadripartite worldview, a cosmos divided into 4 cardinal directions, each governed by sacred forces. At the center of this cosmic cross sits Pueblo Alto, a high-profile great house where archaeologists have found exotic trade goods like scarlet macaw feathers and seashells, suggesting it was a ritual nexus. The road might have served as a processional way, guiding pilgrims toward celestial events like the solstice sunrise over Fajada Butte, turning the entire canyon into a stage for cosmic theater. But here's the haunting question: why build a road to nowhere in such a water-scarce region? The answer may lie in the ancestral Puebloans' understanding of sacred space. Like the Nazca lines of Peru or the Silk Road's desert pathways, the Great North Road wasn't meant for mundane travel. It was a pilgrimage of the spirit, a physical act of walking the celestial patterns revered in their star lore. Petroglyphs along the route depict spirals and star symbols, while shrines mark astronomical sightlines, as if the road itself was a prayer etched into the earth. Today, as satellites map the road's uncanny straightness, we're left to wonder, did the Puebloans see their world as a mirror of the heavens, every stone and pathway a reflection of constellations whispered in creation stories? The Great North Road doesn't just point north, it points beyond, to a time when geography and cosmology were inseparable, and the land itself was a living star map. And in its unswerving path, we glimpse a civilization that didn't just navigate by the stars, but walked among them. From the solstice sunlight piercing Newgrange's ancient passage to the serpent shadow slithering down El Castillo's steps, these 20 monuments are more than stone and mortar. They're proof of humanity's enduring dialogue with the cosmos. Each site, whether it's Stonehenge's lunar standstills or the Great Pyramid's stellar shafts, reveals a shared obsession, the need to map our place in the universe. The Maya tracked Venus with window-lined observatories, while Malta's temple builders carved moonlit altars into limestone. Teotihuacan's architects anchored their city to the Pleiades, and Chaco Canyon's astronomers etched solar daggers into cliff faces. Even now, these structures whisper secrets of solstice celebrations at Karnak, zenith sun rituals atop the Pyramid of the Sun, and sacred lakes mirroring Sirius's rise. What unites them isn't just precision, but purpose. These weren't vanity projects, they were survival tools, spiritual compasses, and communal bonds. The ancients didn't separate science from faith. They saw celestial patterns as divine language, and their monuments became translators. A farmer in Najdra knew when to plant by sunlight on a spiral. A priest in Chichen Itza predicted war omens from Venus's glow. The Incas in Tehuacana's stone didn't just mark time, it tethered the sun to the earth, ensuring another harvest. This was astronomy woven into the fabric of life, where a misplaced stone could mean missed eclipses or failed crops. Yet beyond utility, these alignments reveal something profound about us. 5,000 years ago, a builder in Ireland chiseled a roof box to catch a single sunrise. Today, crowds still gather to witness it. The same awe that drew Neolithic worshippers to Stonehenge now draws Instagrammers. Our tools have changed, but our gaze hasn't. We still look up, still chase eclipses, still marvel at the math behind the magic. These monuments remind us that curiosity is humanity's oldest heirloom, passed down through millennia in aligned stones and shadow play. So here's your invitation: stand where they stood, visit Angkor Wat at equinox when the sun crowns its towers like a diamond, camp at Chaco Canyon during a lunar standstill, tracing the same constellations Puebloan priests once did. Or simply step outside tonight, because the same stars that guided the builders of Karnak and Machu Picchu still shine above you. Their monuments are more than relics, they're mirrors, reflecting our timeless urge to reach beyond the horizon. And if you've felt that pull while watching these alignments, you're already part of the story. Now it's your turn. Which of these celestial wonders speaks to you? Share your favorites below, and who knows, the next great cosmic discovery might begin with your own journey to these stone-bound skies.